I'm going to give you a quick background on myself only because it's important in the essence to know why I am the way I am. Give you a little bit of a value added on what I do, and we'll jump right into the meat and potatoes of where I'm going with this. I grew up in a little town in Iowa. My mother was an orphan. Her father was an illiterate German immigrant, and he died, or her mother died when she was 2. They had 7 brothers and sisters. Father couldn't take care of the kids, dropped them off in Remsen, Iowa, to the grandfather, who was already 68, couldn't take care of the kids, and put them all in a Catholic orphanage in Sioux City, Iowa, paid so they wouldn't be adopted. My mother stayed in the orphanage until she was a mid-teenager, came out. She got out at that point. She went to school to become a school teacher, and when she did that, she got polio. She overcame polio. She got married to my father, had 2 miscarriages, gave birth to 4 children, died of breast cancer in her mid-30s. I was 10. She had a tough go. So anytime I feel bad about the days I've had, I always just think about her. My father was a high school dropout. In 9th grade, he dropped out of high school, left home at the age of 14. My dad was a cross between John Wayne and Archie Bunker. He was 6'6", 290, and he had an attitude. But the one thing he told me, and was really stayed with me all my life, and it really helped me be successful, he said, "Son, you remember that the world owes you nothing and you'll be fine." And I wish more people would hear that in this country or around the world. It's a situation where I believed in hard work. When I was 10, I had my first job. I wanted to buy a rifle. My dad said, "Fine, you got to go earn it." I cleaned the drive-in up at 6:30 in the morning as a 10-year-old making 60 cents an hour. I'm that old. The other first real job I had, I was 12. I poured concrete for $2 an hour. That was the minimum wage back then. So I've learned hard work early. It was a blessing to have grown up in a small town in Iowa, and I'm grateful for the ways that I grew up. As a kid in 7th grade, I almost died. I had a ruptured appendix. I was in grave condition. I went from 120 pounds to 80 pounds. I spent the next 3 months in and out of hospitals. Infections were everywhere. I didn't grow much when I was a freshman in high school. I was 5'1", 110 pounds, and I was known as Kurt the Squirt. So I'm no longer Kurt the Squirt. So anyway, I'm a little short, actually, for my weight than I used to be in those days. But so I went on and I ultimately moved. I got into some business ventures in Iowa that failed. My dad had a really successful business. My dad, at one time in 1979, had the largest agricultural precast construction company in the country, had over 100 employees. 1979 did $7 million a year in revenue. And then the farm crisis hit, the fighting inflation hit. You remember when the land values fell. More banks failed in the 1980s. They failed in 2008. My dad lost everything. Went from $7 million one year to $800,000 the next year and never got any higher than that. And he lost everything. He died at age 53 of a heart attack, and here I am today. I moved to Colorado with $12 in my pocket, or I actually got to Denver, I had $12 in my pocket, no job, no place to live. It was 1984. I drove a 1964 Plymouth Valiant. I remember the old stick shift, great car. Somehow I got one of the most beautiful women in Colorado to marry me. She married me, we had 3 children, she got multiple sclerosis. Life has taught me lots of lessons. And so I hope tonight that you understand that I think that the only realism is optimism. I'm an extremely optimistic person. This is the greatest country in the world. This is one of the greatest states in the greatest country in the world. And this is going to be one of the greatest times that America's ever seen and that the world's ever seen. It's a lot of stuff happening, and it's really cool. And I used to play a lot of basketball. And when I played basketball, I got kind of good at it. I got friends with all these Iranian guys, not because they were good basketball players, we just happened to connect and they were friends, but they were soccer players. They all had legs like this. But those guys could play defense like nobody's business. And when I was young, I was open when I got out of bed in the morning. So they would just set picks and we'd play basketball. But they said something to me that really stuck with me. They said, "Kurt, the problem with you Americans is you're blind to opportunity. You don't see it all around you because you live in it every day. We see it. These guys own taxi cabs, they own dry cleaners, they had all kinds of businesses. We come over here, all we see is opportunity. I'm telling you, there's opportunity everywhere. We just got to look for it." So that's the first part. I made some notes so that I don't get lost. Now, if you want, you guys can all leave me your cell phone numbers. And when I realize I didn't tell you something and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll give you all a call. Do you ever have that? You wake up and you go, oh. Yes, I'm on that job. The big thing is, I think, you go through life and you get to, I'm 53. You go through life and you start wanting to do more. You start wanting to leave an impact. I've been very fortunate. I've been very successful. 29 years in this business, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant. I cleared through Cambridge Investment Research. Great broker dealer out of Iowa, independent broker dealer out of Iowa. I have great successes. I have clients that I love. I've never had a complaint at any level. It's been a blast. But you get to the point where you want to do more. So I sat this winter and I looked at my fireplace, and my wife had a plaque above the mantle, and it said, live, laugh, love. And I thought, I want something to pin the rest of my life on. So I said, I want to live large. And live large is not for me driving a Ferrari, going to a country club. Live large is participating in life, giving something back, seeing this beautiful state, volunteering. I've done a lot of volunteer work over the years. I want to laugh often. That's not hard for me because I'm one of the biggest smart alecks you're ever going to meet. I'm a practical joker. I have a lot of fun. And I want to love always. And I want to tell you right here, I love you all. Because that's what I do. I think when you give love out, you get love back. And I really believe in the law of attraction. If you get negativity out, you get negativity back. So my whole process is about loving going forward. So very simply, the way I'm going to do a little bit of love going forward, this is my 2-minute value proposition for anybody who's interested. We do things that are very unique. I do, for everybody who becomes a client or works with me, I do a filing system. We do them color-coded. I give them a safe. Because everybody in my business wants to turn around and review your portfolio or see if their allocation's better or blah, 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 blah. What everybody needs is get organized. How many people here are actually organized? My wife has multiple sclerosis. I have no clue what medication she took until I did this. You ever had to run to the hospital in an emergency and you have to fill out all that information? If you have this all in one spot, this is what I do. I'm here for your families. I don't look as clients, I look at as families. I want to take care of your families. The situation here is all color-coded, some for investment accounts, bank accounts, legal statements, you got living wills, you have durable powers, everything in one spot. My business card goes on top, you close the safe, that's the first thing I do for people. Then the second thing I have going on is kind of neat. And it hit me. It wasn't even my idea. I'm smart enough, there's an old statement that says the good Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, we had to learn to take the hint. It took a lot of years for me to learn to take that hint. I met a guy in Omaha. I was in Orlando at a speaking engagement in Orlando, and I met this financial advisor from Omaha. And he goes, I'm doing capped fees. I go, what? He goes, I'm capping my fees. And I said, well, why would you do that? He goes, because people are being charged too much. I walked away thinking, what's he talking about? Now I know. I figured it out. We charge 1% up to $1 million. At $1 million, it's 10 basis points. That's what it costs me to run my portfolios. So if you have $5 million, you're getting charged $15,000. Because I manage relationships, I don't manage money. If a guy 150 pounds has a heart surgery and he has to go to the hospital, he's going to get charged the same amount that the other guy that's 250 pounds. Well, why should the fat cat investor have to pay all this money for getting the same advice if we're managing that relationship? I have been telling this to CPAs, to estate attorneys, and they're loving it. One of them's taking me to a baseball game tomorrow night because he goes, dude, I got to sit down and spend more time with you. So we have that process that's going forward. So that's interesting. It's different. There's lots to it. If that's something you want to learn about, email me, call me. My doors are wide open. You can call me at any time. You can find me on Facebook, Kurt Cambier, Centennial Capital Partners. Don't go to Kurt Cambier. That will you find out why my wife's cat is cute. Kurt Cambier, Centennial Capital Partners. You go to LinkedIn. Hook with me on LinkedIn. We have a weekly email that Don gets. We send a weekly email. You can have all that stuff. It's all free. We do all kinds of events all year long. If you're on my email list, you can go to it. So just go to kurtcambier.com, hook up, send me an email. You got a question, call me. If you didn't like something I said, tell me. If you like something I said, ask me more. So anyway, I appreciate that. I want to give you guys something right away off the chute so that if nothing else, this is going to be worth your time. I have over time, I've had the opportunity to meet some really incredible people. I've had the opportunity to be some pretty amazing places, and I've read some pretty amazing books. It's really cool to be in a room of economic and investment geeks like myself, because usually I'm talking to this stuff and I get this people tell me I was getting hit with a fire hose. Some books I really love if you haven't read them. If you guys haven't read The Panic in 1907, Read The Panic in 1907. What an absolutely fabulous book. It's actually, you want to get the second edition, because what happened in 1907 is exactly what happened in 2008, and it's pretty cool how history repeated itself, and it was very well written. It was entertaining, as all get out. The other thing I think you want to read that has a big influence upon me is something called the Supercycle Report. And if you haven't read the Supercycle Report, it's done by the Standard Chartered Bank of England. It's like 156 pages. And I printed the whole thing out. And I have it, and I read it from time to time and time. There's so much cool information in there. I would really read it, and it really give you a reason to be bullish. Then you have, there's a white paper by Vanguard. This is actually interesting. Vanguard's white paper, this is putting value on your value, quantifying Vanguard Advisors Alpha. What Vanguard did was a study. This was just printed out this spring. They did a study of people who had used Vanguard funds, which are fantastic, doing it themselves, and then they did a study, people use Vanguard funds using a financial advisor. What they found is the people who used a financial advisor earned 3% per year more than people who didn't. And that wasn't readable year after year after year. It's just, what happened was it happened in moments of either market euphoria, when people tend to chase returns, they become speculators, not investors, or through market collapse, where they abandon their investment plans to go to cash at the worst time. And I always tell people, when you panic in an investment portfolio at the worst time, you're selling your investments to the richest people in the world, and you just help them become richer. Because what's Warren Buffett's old statement? I get greedy when people get nervous. I get nervous when people get greedy. So within those things, that's where we're kind of going. Very quickly, as I go through this, I make notes so I don't forget myself. I have a book that's coming out. It's called The Future is Brighter Than You Think. I was hoping it already be published by now. It's in compliance. I have to go through compliance. I see the book as a light afternoon after school read, kind of like the equivalent of Leave It to Beaver or Andy Griffith Show. My compliance sees it as a Saturday night Cinemax movie. So we're kind of working out the differences right now. They've had it for a month. We'll see how they get it. So I think overall it'll be pretty good. But the first chapter of the book is called Listening to the Noise. And there's a lot of noise out there. And what I want to remind everybody, does anybody know, somebody's room probably do know, someone turning 62 today, which is the average age of someone retiring in America, anybody know in 1952, which is where someone would have been born, turning 62, anybody know what the S&P 500 ended at the year, approximately? Anybody want to take a guess?
52?
25. Pretty good guess, though. You were just dyslexic, you had them flip. But that was a pretty good guess. 25. Let's think of all the bad things that happened since then. Korean War, Kennedy assassination, Vietnam War, Nixon impeached, Arab oil embargo, right? Farm crisis, commercial real estate collapse, savings and loan collapse, tech bubble collapse, 9/11, all that stuff, 2008. But from 25, where are we? Pretty cool, huh? If we focus on the noise, we miss out on a lot of returns. Remember that bad copy sells newspapers. Bad copy, bad copy sells newspapers? Yeah, let me restate that. Bad news sells copy. I've read some bad newspapers and bad copy, but that's a different story. So when you look at that, I think that there's lots of reasons to be optimism. There's an old statement that I love by Sir John Templeton. And he said, bull markets are born on pessimism, they grow on skepticism, they mature on optimism, and they die on euphoria. Wow, pretty cool. There's another great piece you all should watch. It's by Ray Dalio of Bridgewater and Associates. It's a 30-minute video, you can YouTube it, and it's called How the Economic Engine Works. And it's fabulous. And what he says is credit and money are the same thing. So that if I have a $100,000 income and I'm 10% credit worthy, I now have $110,000 to spend. If I have $110,000 to spend, I give to this gentleman here, he now becomes credit worthy.